Retirement plans are super important. If you missed that video, be sure to check it out. I talk about how important contributing to a retirement plan is. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about what retirement plan you should be putting your money into it. Before we get into the differences though, I think it's very important to understand why did retirement plans even become a thing and how long have they been around? The reason it started though is because the Roman army was very loyal, dedicated, and good at serving for the empire. So in return, the empire wanted to make sure that their soldiers were taken care of for the rest of their life, this being with, of course, lucrative money that they could use and be financially stable for the rest of their life for their duties of protecting the empire. Throughout history, retirement plans may have changed here and there, and the modern version of what we know today was actually more started in 1978 when the tax code got altered and was officially in effect in 1980. By 1983, most all employers had or were thinking of adding a full-fledged retirement plan to their company. And that is when we started seeing the dwindling effects of a pension. As far as the history for the pension goes, we can see this being more modernized in actually 1875 when the American Express Company established the first corporate pension in the US. Certain criteria had to be met, and this was based on the employer, normally going off of how long you've been there, how good at your job you were, or any other factors that could be involved depending on what the company wanted. By the late 1920s, actually a lot of companies had pensions as part of their incentive to work for that company. By 1950, more than 25% of the workforce in America had a pension, which is actually really great to hear. But the sole reason that most companies are steering away from pensions now versus being a growing thing that we've seen in the past is actually because retirement plans are cheaper and usually easier to comprehend for not just the company, but the employees as well. But for the company, it's all about saving money, and retirement plans saved them a lot more money than a pension ever could. And that's why we see the big shift in retirement plans versus the pension. Getting into the first category, which is going to be probably the most popular retirement that most everybody has heard of, if not already putting money away into, is going to be the traditional 401k. A 401k is a retirement savings plan that is offered normally only by employers, and the way it works is that you simply contribute to a 401k through your income. It usually goes in through your paycheck automatically, and most companies actually have a matching program in which it's very important that whatever percentage that you have to put in order to get that match is just free money. It can be taken out without penalty of any kind at the age of 59 and a half. Anything prior to that, you can get penalties is what they call it, or fees of whatever matter for pre-taking out your 401k early. The best thing to do is to leave your 401k alone no matter what and to let it accumulate to the biggest amount possible before retirement. Taking money out is not only a penalty against you, but it's also not letting that money accumulate to being more later on in life. The total amount you can contribute to a 401k does go up every year due to inflation. And as of the year 2024, you can currently put up to $23,000 into a 401k. If you are over the age of 50, you can actually contribute more by a catch-up program, if eligible, of up to $7,500 on top of the $23,000, making it over $30,000 that you could be putting in your 401k. And of course, this is likely to go up year by year due to the inflation, and it's always good to know how much you can put in and try to get as close to that max as you possibly can. It's just better for you when you retire, more money in your pocket. What is the biggest difference between a traditional 401k and the non-traditional 401k? With a traditional 401k, you're actually going to be getting taxed on withdrawal. So any money accumulated and any money that you put in over the course of your working career is actually going to be taxed on the withdrawal. With a non-traditional 401k, everything's going to work the same. It should be going in automatically. You should still be getting the match if your employer does offer that, and you can't have early withdrawal without penalties, yada, yada, yada. But you get pre-taxed. So any of your income that you have will get taxed, and then it goes into your 401k. So immediately people are going to be thinking, well, that's a no-brainer. I want to get taxed on the less money instead of the more later on. So why would I not go with the non-traditional? It's a great question that you should probably be asking a financial advisor. But the simple reason is here today is going to be off of how much you make and how much you're planning to contribute to the 401k. And actually that will vary from person to person and household to household. Now there are also individual retirement accounts, otherwise known as the IRAs. They work very similar to a 401k. And of course, with the IRA, there's going to be your traditional, there's going to be the non-traditional. But what's the difference with an IRA versus a 401k? With an IRA, normally you're going to have to go through a brokerage or a bank in order to invest that money for your retirement. With an IRA, as of 2024, you can only put $7,000 into an account, which is significantly less than a 401k, and something to keep in mind if you're somebody that could be hitting that max. Now, there is also a catch-up program with the IRA. At the age of 50, you can contribute a little bit more if you're eligible, which is only $1,000 more versus the $7,500 more that you could contribute into a 401k. So at the 401k, at the age of 50, you could contribute up to $30,000. With an IRA, you can only contribute up to $8,000 if you're over the age of 50. And of course, with the IRA, we're going to be seeing an inflation rate go up, so you're going to be able to contribute more throughout annual years and whatnot. But as of right now, this is a lot lower number, and it's always been a lower number than the 401k, and it's something to keep in mind. And you can have multiple retirement accounts, and I actually do. There's something else too with the IRA that you should probably know about, and if you don't start using that money, then you'll get required minimum distribution, which is an RMD, and you have to start using a certain amount of money by the age of 72 and later, and you could be subject to some penalties for not using that money. With the 401k, unless it's certain stipulations and certain specific 401k, you're not going to see penalties like that. The money's just there and you can use it when you want to. With an IRA, that money does have to be withdrawn at a certain point. Well, at least a certain extent will have to be drawn annually. So what's the biggest difference between the traditional IRA and the non-traditional IRA? It goes back right to the 401k, right? So the IRA is going to be something that's going to get taxed after the fact, whereas a non-traditional IRA is going to get taxed pre-taxed. You're going to have your money, it's going to get taxed, then it's going to go into your account. So what do I have and why does it work for me? I actually have a couple retirement plans. Here's why. I worked at a job that had a pension. It went into effect. It was my 3-year pension that I had, and I also had a 401k through there, a traditional one. Once I got out of that job and went to my next job, I decided I want to take my money elsewhere and not have to deal with the employer itself. And so that way, whenever I feel the need to change jobs, I don't have to continuously go through the employer and bank all on that employer. So what I do now is I go through a brokerage where I have 2 accounts set up, because my plan is to try and retire by the age of 50, which means I don't want to be taking penalties. So I have to have a specific account set up that does go into the stock market and makes money, generates money, but I can withdraw without penalty. Now I do have a non-traditional IRA, which is going to be my main account that I'll live off of once I can draw without penalties. Now my employer does offer a match program, and so I do put a percentage of my money away into a non-traditional 401k through my employer in order to get that free money from my employer, because again, it's free money and it just helps accumulate more to my retirement. But I'm not banking completely on them. That's not where a majority of my retirement goes. And then of course, after 7 years of being there, I also will have a pension. Now, there are other forms of making money quicker than retirement, because of course everybody wants money now and they want as much as they possibly can, and I don't blame you. So what are some of the best ways to make money more short term versus, hey, I'm making good money, but I have to wait 30 years? Well, that's a really good question that I can try to answer to the best of my ability over here in this video. All right, it might be around there, it might be over here, but the idea is that it's going to be yonder.